Hello, everyone. My name is Pedro, and I am the CEO of dotmoovs. And today I couldn't be more excited about the topic we have at hand because it converges two technologies I find fascinating, AI and the blockchain. So we're joined today by Andrea from Ocean Protocol and two of our own AI engineers, Gonçalo Faria and Guilherme Viveiros. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for making the time for this session. So, Andrea, should we start with you? Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what your role is at Ocean Protocol?
Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be here. So I've joined the Ocean community, I would say 3 years ago, but officially joined the core team about a year ago. And my focus is mostly on product and also contributed on marketing as well.
It's amazing. Thank you for joining us. Let me go to Gonçalo. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Gonçalo. I joined dotmoovs from the beginning, I guess. I mostly do machine learning. Essentially, since we are like an early stage startup, I take a lot of hats, from training models to doing more general software design and architecture design. So yeah.
So he basically does a bit of everything. He's one of the original movers, and not long after Gonçalo joined, we were joined by Guilherme as well. Guilherme, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Guilherme Viveiros. Mostly I'm a machine learning engineer at dotmoovs, responsible for exposing our machine learning models at scale, efficient and highly available way for use in our production environments and for building our data engineering pipelines.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So today we wanted to have a bit of a general discussion. We're all working around the data and artificial intelligence space. We're all working on the blockchain, and these are two technologies that are fascinating, on their own. But together, it's kind of like a killer combination. So maybe a question to Ocean Protocol. There's no AI without data, and obviously Ocean Protocol runs what is probably the largest decentralized market for data. How do you handle that? How do you handle the demand? What kinds of data can we find in your market? How do you guys operate?
All right, that's a great question, Pedro. Thanks. So how do we handle the demand and what kinds of data we find in the market? So I'd say the Ocean ecosystem is really an interesting mix because it's uniquely designed as a horizontal stack, right? And so with a horizontal stack, what we get is pretty much any kind of data vertical. Because the Ocean data marketplace is fully open source and decentralized, I would say that we don't control the demand or the type of data available. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? So the market can handle large amounts of data. It has features for data discovery, access control, data monetization, data curation, and it serves two main use cases as of now. So we see that we have data unions, which you can think of them as collectives for individuals to pull their data and sell it on their behalf. But we also see use cases like consortiums, like the Ethereum data sharing initiatives known as Gaia X, with projects spanning across different industries, such as the manufacturing field, as well as mobility and more. So in general, I think we have around more than 200 projects that have forked the marketplace and are currently building on top. And for this reason, because again, it's open source, people can just go there and fork it. We don't have full visibility on what enterprise and individuals are using it for. But it's basically what we see being used as the foundation layer for the new data economy.
That's fascinating, first of all, because it sounds endlessly scalable. And second of all, I feel like you guys not having visibility or complete visibility of what people are using it for is actually a plus, isn't it? Because it kind of like enhances the privacy for the project. So even in terms of commercial applications, that sounds really cool. And I didn't even know that you guys were operating across so many industries. Things like manufacturing. So that sounds really, really interesting. Thanks, Andrea.
I mean, one. I
you-
also forgot to mention. Sorry for interrupting, but
No worries.
obviously manufacturing is one, but a huge sector that we're currently operating in is the automotive sector. So as the need for driving data that needs to be powered for the next generation of self-driving cars increases, we have great examples like Eccentric, which is used and it's been created by Mercedes-Benz to create a data sharing initiative using Ocean, right? So I'd say they're playing a big role in terms of the types of data. And also with Gaia X, we have different types of projects that are focusing on mobility. So that's, if I had to pick one, I would say that's the one, but it's very horizontal. So any vertical really applies here.
That's it. Yeah, it's cool because your layer is just agnostic, isn't it? It's yeah. Thanks for that. That's amazing. So, and we should definitely have a little bit of an introduction about how dotmoovs applies AI to the digital sports ecosystem. I know at least, but for our viewers, Gonçalo, Guilherme, do you want to give us a bit of insight into how we work with AI in digital sports?
Yeah, sure. So basically at dotmoovs, we are gamifying sports competition into our application. So it's quite simple, actually. You only need a phone, you record yourself, you upload it. We have an AI engine that will analyze your video and return a score. This score is simply a metric of your performance. So our AI need to understand the scene. What I mean with this is that you need to understand where the people are, the body parts, the key points, so pose estimation basically. Where are the objects? In the case of football, we need to detect the ball. So we need to know who is the relevant person on the video from the beginning to the end, and a bunch of things. We also have like a feed, and we do personalized recommendation based on our users. We have an intelligent system for notification. So we try to push notifications in the best possible way, being less intrusive as possible. We are a team with data-driven perspectives. And so that's basically it. So the key point here is that we use AI to lowering the barrier of entry. So without computer vision, all of these methods will be impossible. And we wouldn't have a product that is so easy to use. We will need some kind of gadgets or equipments to capture the people and specific attributes. So I think that's the big principle of AI in our application.
Yeah, thanks for that summary. I think it's interesting because obviously the core of the dotmoovs application is AI, and it's this whole sports scoring and the computer vision aspect of it. But as you were mentioning, there is AI in a lot of different things that we do, and even in the way we interact with our users, and trying to be the least intrusive we can be while providing a good experience. So there's a lot of aspects to it that play together to create a good experience. And particularly, in this new world where we're trying to drive things more through the blockchain and using the best of both technologies. And so that kind of like brings me to my next question, which is both these technologies, things like blockchain, things like AI, they have the power to disrupt markets by breaking and making them. It's both sides. But AI, for example, has been around for a while. It's proven to be a very valuable tool for most companies. How do you reckon, and Andrea, I'll direct this at you first, how do you reckon that these two technologies can be merged to bring real value? Where do you think the main advantage is in having these two technologies combined?
All right, so the blockchain AI together. So particularly focusing on blockchain and tapping into AI, right? Blockchain brings two incredible innovations for AI. Number one is the trust minimized nature of smart contracts. And the other one I would say is the ability to tokenize on a distributed ledger. So if we're able to combine these two concepts together, what we can allow for is the creation of a completely new standard of ownership and also orchestration layer across the many different stakeholders, right? The idea is that with tokenization, you can connect whatever you're tokenizing within the broader crypto ecosystem, which is a really, really powerful concept. I'll give you an example, AI related, right? So we have in just one value flow, there may be multiple individuals or companies working on the data, right? So we have data scientists aggregating and cleaning the data. We could have an ML engineer building a model of the data. And there could also be service providers for storage and computation, right? So by having a standard of ownership of who has the right to what value is created or can be created, we can also create complex multi-party interactions. And under the hood, this is what is powering also the ocean stack, right? Because if we're looking at the smart contracts level, what we see is we have non-fungible tokens, which are ERC 721, with all the benefits of NFTs, such as self-custody, and as I was mentioning before, crypto integrations, right? So connecting the tokenized data in this case to the larger crypto ecosystem. But we also have the rights to consume those assets via fungible tokens ERC20. So this concept, if we then add also privacy preserving technology like compute to data, and we pack everything into an open source tech stack, we really allow almost everybody to build their future business case or business in general using Ocean. So this is the way that I see merging AI and blockchain together to, again, create this new data economy.
That sounds fascinating, because what you're mentioning there is almost, if I understand it correctly, sort of like a way to have complete overview of your ownership of your data and, you know, and your privacy, and everything is logged. So you can, your controls, your access controls, and your, well, the consequences of using someone's data are, you know, much clearer, and they're logged in the blockchain, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And if we're thinking about, you know, users in general are becoming more aware of the importance of their data. And it may take a little while before we get to this narrative to fully play out. But in general, we've seen that, you know, users are more skeptical, especially in Europe with GDPR, and every website they enter, they have to accept these cookies, right? They're starting to ask questions to themselves. And so we're getting to a point where, you know, if we're leveraging blockchain technology, we could get every single users to own and monetize their data eventually.
Yeah,
and I'll stop here.
It's great, because you know, you can never say that more transparency is a bad thing, and I feel like that's what you almost achieve with that, is just giving that level of transparency that you wouldn't have otherwise. That's super interesting. Thanks, Andrea. Same thing for dotmoovs. So what is your opinion, Gonçalo, maybe? Oh, you're on mute, Gonçalo. There's always one every call.
I guess it sort of like comes as a solution to this problem, the data problem, I guess. So we want to build models and business and products that rely on data and are data driven. And at the same time, you know, we want to, you know, solve the problems that obviously arise, you know, ethical problems, and here is like a sort of monetization, you know. So yeah, I think it's like actually comes as a solution, you know, in the right time.
Yeah, and you know, technologically, we're talking about probably, you know, the next frontier in terms of combining the two technologies. But you know, in the meantime, and that's what I like about, you know, the way we've kind of like merged the two together at dotmoovs, is sort of like finding the usability for an AI application that, you know, kind of like state-of-the-art computer vision applied to digital sports, but then combining it with an economy that is on the chain that sort of like brings the two together and brings people closer. I feel like we need to do that, bring people closer to the technology and understanding that, you know, how does the blockchain work? How does AI work? And I feel like AI has been around for a bit longer and everyone's been talking about it, whereas blockchain is, you know, maybe like one or two steps behind. So these kinds of things are important, even just from an educational sense, I think. But obviously everyone's talking about, you know, OpenAI and ChatGPT and Microsoft's investment. Maybe, you know, a question for our ML engineers in the call, but do you believe in the power of this technology to revolutionize the way we go about our day? We've seen ChatGPT passing medical exams and MBAs at Wharton and things like that. So, clearly it's very capable. To what extent do you think it will revolutionize the way we live?
First of all, I do believe, that ChatGPT technology and the advancements in AI in general have the potential to revolutionize our day-to-day lives to a significant extent, at least. So automation, basically, for me, the most important view is like automation of repetitive tasks, time-consuming tasks, or freeing up time and resources for more complex or creative tasks. And this can be used in so many areas. For instance, in education, personalizing learning experience. We can do that with ChatGPT already. So instead of searching of the internet or in books, you can already ask a question to ChatGPT, and it will provide feedback. So yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's fascinating because I saw someone the other day writing something like ChatGPT is doing for us what the calculator did back in the day, and sort of like before you had to do everything. But it is, I feel like it goes a bit beyond that. Gonçalo, please give us your.
I was about to say, it's like this is like an early glimpse. The technology compared to GPT-3, it's just like a little step, in the sense that you don't have to make complicated prompts to get the conversation going, I guess. It's just right off the box. You can do some cool conversations, but we can imagine, let's say GPT-4, many orders of magnitude more data, that how reliable can start to get. For now it's like really reliable. If I ask it to give a code, I want do a commit right out of the box, right? I have to test it and make sure it's correct. But you can imagine that in the future, having something like that, actually, relying on the technology more.
It does sound like it will make us a lot more efficient and sort of like help us, I don't know, just work faster and produce more. That's one of its main advantages. But there's some like drawbacks, and one of the things that I've seen, one of the discussions that I found fascinating was about concerns with copyright and attribution. Not only ChatGPT, but for example, text-to-image models like DALL-E, where you write a prompt and then you get an image on the other side. These are obviously reasonable concerns because it's using a lot of data from the internet, and you have copyright issues, maybe things that were available but not for commercial purposes, and now it can be used for commercial purposes. What is your opinion on that? And maybe Andrea, based on what you were saying about keeping things transparent and the way the Ocean stack works, what do you think about this, and how can something like Ocean Protocol help in this? In these cases where people are concerned about copyright infringement?
Right, good question. So for me, the ChatGPT is obviously an incredible tool, but we also have major concerns there with centralization of the field, right? And centralization of AI and data, which is open and accessible now. And we're probably going to see applications building on top tomorrow. That doesn't mean that it's not centralized still, right? So the centralization of field could lead to some dangerous outcomes in the future as the big tech firms accumulate even more data from your computation and also AI talents. But with regards to copyright specifically, if we're using a fully decentralized stack with a public ledger at the core, with ERC 7021, ERC 20, and all the technology related to it, we can solve the copyright issue right away. The problem right now is that data provenance isn't fully transparent because it would come from Web 2, and then it would have to migrate into Web 3, but in Web 2, you don't have full visibility of where the data came from. So whatever data is minted in Web 3 can be tracked. Whatever data was minted before, it's hard to track. So there's obviously more points of failure there.
But it does sound promising because, you know, it's that level of transparency, isn't it? You'll know that these pieces of data were used for this purpose. So, you know, these people should get some attribution, should get some rights over these things that are being produced. And then it's a matter of figuring out how those rights will work. But it does enable at least that discussion to happen, because it's exactly what you're saying. Right now, that discussion almost cannot happen because, you know, we don't know where the data came from, and you could say it came from just anywhere. So yeah, thanks for that, Andrea. Guilherme, Gonçalo, do you have an opinion about this and, you know, the copyright issues?
Yeah, I mean, I really, you know, agree with you. You know, solutions like auction protocol are really like the key here, because we want to still be able to, you know, use these technologies to incorporate and to give value to society. So we just have to find a way to have that attribution. Like, we have to sort of not only revolutionize, you know, the technology, both the data technology and the model technology, but also, you know, the way we do attribution, right? Because I mean, we have to find some ways, some balance between, you know, giving credit to the people that did the original works, and also at the same time not make it impossible for these technologies to proliferate, you know, and to be used in society. Because I think in that sense, it would actually be, you know, negative, you know, not valuable for society. And we can look at this like looking at Spotify, right? You know, all the music rights worked before Spotify came in. You know, that they were like piracy, where you didn't care about the rights, and anyone could download music. That's not good, right? The musician should get some credit. And you have now this new model of, you know, getting paid by streams and things like that. So yeah, I guess we need innovation in all sides, you know, policy, technology, and both data and AI technology. You know?
Yeah, and I know it's not my, I'm just hosting. I shouldn't be giving a lot of opinions, but I fully agree with you. I think there is, you know, we need to like sort of like walk that line between too much policy and not enough. And I feel like, you know, in some cases we do not have enough policy to kind of regulate everything and make sure that everyone is compensated fairly. But at the same time, if we start putting too much policy in, then you're kind of like stifling the progress of technology. So it's also, in my opinion, a matter of having the right people in the regulation authorities and sort of like foster this innovation within regulation itself, isn't it? And I think, you know, in other AMAs, we've talked about this just, you know, regarding the blockchain itself, but I think it's true for any field. This is a very interesting discussion, but more widely, do you think there are any other concerns with the rise and adoption of this type of tech, both AI and blockchain? But, you know, for example, with AI, if ChatGPT can do a lot of the, you know, if it can pass an MBA, then maybe it can help manage a business much better. Then do we need that many people? Are we going to enter these almost like dystopic questions of, do we all just have universal basic income and not work? And, you know, and there's a number of people that do work and still innovate. What do you think? Do you think that we're getting closer to having these discussions, or is this kind of like a bit of an overkill? Whoever wants to go first.
I mean,
I'll keep it short. Sorry.
Go ahead, Andrea. Go ahead.
I'll just keep it short. I think it's the world moves on, the world evolves, and society adapts, right? So what I think is that we're moving towards a society that requires people to have more complex skill, and as we grow, we'll need education to also align with that. That's my very simple opinion on it.
Yeah. Gonçalo.
Yeah, I totally agree with Andrea.
Yeah, fully agree too.
I know for me the issue that you know, pains me the most is warfare. You know, using computer vision and, you know, AI assisted decision making for making weapons and waging war. And also, you know, surveillance. Those are like the issues, because, you know, you can already gather everyone, you know, identify who they are, what they are doing, you know. So yeah, those are like the main issues for me. And
yeah, I think there's a lot of questions in the balance, and I think, you know, bottom line, I agree. It kind of like comes down to education, and the educational programs should evolve maybe a little bit faster. I think technology may be evolving at a rate that the schools are just not capable of keeping up with, and we really need that because we're creating a more of a gap, isn't it? But if we are ready to use this technology, then we can only get better and unlock the next frontier. So that's it's a very interesting insight. So let's say you had to predict the next big launch. What would this be? Where would you put your bets? We've had the very large language models like GPT-3 taking the spotlight. GPT-4 is in the making, but there's so much more out there. At dotmoovs we use computer vision. Where would you say that the next big launch would be in terms of artificial intelligence? Andrea, I'll let you go first.
Can I also keep blockchain in the
100%, yeah.
question? Awesome. So I think from a general, Web3 and AI perspective, I think we can all agree about the benefits of both blockchain and tokenizations of assets. So what I think these technology could really disrupt our everyday life is by bringing tokenization into the financial market. So making things like the stock exchange, a tokenized stock exchange, right? A tokenized index, and these technologies really bringing more efficiencies in terms of it's making settlement times faster. It's reducing the need for reconciliations, and overall is just delivering greater transparency to all the trading of securities. And that's my biggest bet, right? In the very short term, and by very short, I probably mean like 2-3 years, because it takes a while to kind of create disruptive models. But my second big bet, am I allowed to give a second as well? Because it's
of course.
Of course.
All right. So my second big bet would be decentralization of computing resources. So because GPU have become a premium commodity, it's basically scarce, and because of elevated supply, there have been spikes in prices for even the lowest tier graphic cards, right? Tech giants already are offering GPU as a service, but they still remain fully centralized. So also tapping back to AI, right, and OpenAI, centralization is great because it allows for more control to some extent, and it evolves things faster probably, but to some extent it also creates more vulnerability, right? So as the data self-sovereignty narratives evolves, I think we'll also see more and more blockchain-based solutions relying less on central control and just focusing more on democratized networks in general.
That is very interesting, and one of our partners, Kudos, works in that space, and that's super interesting. There's like decentralizing computing. Obviously, the management and the technology behind it is much more complex than the centralized solutions, and I think that's why we haven't all moved in that direction. But it definitely, if you have a zero trust kind of decentralized compute way of working, then that's obviously very beneficial. Very interesting perspective. Thanks, Andrea. I'll go to each one of you. Let me start with Guilherme. What do you think is the next big thing?
So related to language models, I think we've not seen all yet. We have other players like Meta and Google that will have to react and integrate these generative models into their products. In terms of AI, I think the next obvious step is like multimodal models, when you can like input any kind of data and you will output also any kind of data. I think truly generative models in AI.
Almost like closer. Yeah, closer to like a generalized artificial intelligence, isn't it? I think DeepMind was working on models like this, and it was very like interesting. You could like input anything and get anything out. Yeah, and it's fascinating. Gonçalo, what do you think will be the next big thing?
Yeah, I guess I'm with Guilherme on both. We have to see, especially like on the tech side, there can be like a lot of new releases, like Guilherme said, the competitives and multimodal models. And also, more interesting, the product side, using these models to create a bunch of different types of products. And, there are like already a few, many samples, examples of, using browsing with chat. So you are asking ChatGPT, not only he writes you text, but, he also gives you references, he links to some pages, actually, replacing like most of the Google experience, essentially you can like get the best of both worlds, you can stop chatting and go for the search part and this interplay, yeah. So those types of stuff, it's really what, I think is exciting,
Definitely a lot
Yeah.
to look forward to. And I agree, we're just seeing the beginning of it. It will definitely revolutionize the next 5-10 years will be, insane in terms of these launches. Well, thank you all for joining us. I think that's it for our time. It really has been very insightful. And for those of you listening, please follow dotmoovs and Ocean Protocol and stay tuned on the last frontier of artificial intelligence, blockchain, and just overall tech innovation. And of course, always keep moving. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too.